Blessings and greetings, greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're alive because we want to stay alive in Torah Chaim, instructions of life, Torah Chesed, instructions of kindness, Torah Rachamim, instructions of mercies. This is now hopefully a new series, which is basically me trying to interact with a book without directly interacting with the author in a live discussion. And the name of the book, very interesting book, I hope you can catch it here on the screen here. It's called Torah for Gentiles, Messianic Implications of the B'nai Noach Laws. Now this is written by Elisheva Bar, and this book was written, it was printed in Eretz Israel, the Holy Land, in 2008, corresponding to 5,768 years blazing and grazing into the creation for each and every nation, soulful revelation. And I would recommend for people to buy this book, but rather than me give a book review, I'd like to deal with concepts that are covered in the book that you kind of have to buy the book otherwise. And I want to also be very clear that I do not have any business association with Elisheva Bar, but rather we are two Jewish people in the world, I in Brooklyn, New York, and she in the Holy Land, who feel that it is worth our time, the few moments we have during the week, to try to inform others, not only the nation of Israel, but the B'nai Noach, children of Noah, who are part of Kol B'nai Olam, all the inhabitants of the world, of their responsibilities towards uplifting the creation. And I want to mention here one approbation, so to speak, or what they say about the book, which is listed here. What they say about the book. One rabbi kind of encapsulates my own feelings that based on these efforts, he said the following, and I would agree. Mrs. Bar is a special person. One cannot agree with everything she says, but we must value her knowledge and her courage to express her views. Because when you come into a public forum, blessed souls, you get set up for criticisms, attacks. People misread what you're saying. People intentionally misread what you're saying. People want to intentionally distort what you're saying because of their own preconceptions, or I would say pre-misconceptions. And also, when we get comments which are negative, we have to react because perhaps the way we presented it was in a misconceived way. Although we were trying to give out the right message, we communicated in a way that it was not clear to others. So that being said, let's now go to the beginning of this book, which I'll even start from the fact that Elisheva mentions that, and I'm not just going to mention it every time she says, you should know that when I pluck out something from the book, obviously everything I'm plucking out of is based on her writing, or unless she's quoting a source, which I'll be happy to quote the source. So to understand who influenced her, sources are given here, but I'll let you find out exactly who all of they are from history. But in the modern sense, she credits the advice of her teacher, Rabbi Yosef Kapach, who recently, within the last year or so, I only recently learned about this great Torah sage who came from Yemen, Yehudi Meteman, Jewish person from the land of Yemen, in the Middle East. And he gave her advice. And she responded in a certain way that she had a certain responsibility according to the Jewish law, the oral Torah tradition of how to present it. And you'd be very interested to see how he responded. As well, she gives credit, and all credit, to the one who created all creation to give her the strength to do this. And I think that's an important point, that when a person engages in any creative endeavor, to last but not least, give credit where all credit is due to the Most High. So we'll end off on a couple of notes here, and then hopefully we'll continue. And of course, your comments, questions, and concerns will always be welcome. Here's the introduction to the book. And again, I'm going to ask it in a question form, so you'll have to buy the book to learn more about these concepts as it was presented by Elisheva Bar. So who told the patriarchs of Israel what was going to happen to their descendants. If you want to look it up, you can go to Genesis 22:18, Genesis 26:4, and Genesis 28:14. The next thing to consider in the introduction, blessed souls, what type of scenario does the nation of Israel not live in? Another question that can be answered by reading this book is, what are the implications of the Creator's plan and Torah if it did not carry out obligations and responsibilities for all human beings, whether it be the blessed children of Israel or the blessed nations of the children of Noah? And what is the implication of being a light unto the nations? And what will cause the magnification and recognition of Israel? Well, you can go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 8, where that question is asked. As well, at the beginning of this book, she is very emphatic to state why we have no obligation to proselytize the Bnei Noach, the children of Noah. Because teaching something which is part of one's tradition already, but just is forgotten, whether intentionally by others or just not known by the majority of the human race, does not put us in the category of proselytizers, of reminding the nations of the world what are the earliest traditions known to man according to the Torah perspective. This might come off as being ethnocentric, that everything is centered in a Torah perspective, which we call divine instruction or lesson. However, you can agree, choose not to agree, to agree. And therefore, ending off, based on what she wrote here in the introduction, do we have a responsibility to prove the truth of the Torah and justify what is written in it? But again, you got to go to the book. Ahav echad, one love, gorel echad, one destiny, for all of us, but dar chinom, dar chishom, in a peaceful, pleasant way, the hamshich, to be continued, but Berchus Hashem Yisparech.